Hey everyone, welcome back to this now third video of Tana fundamentals. In this lesson, I'm going to show you one of Tana's most powerful features, which is recording data about nodes. So let's jump right into it and I'll show you the ways in which you can do that. So here we are on the daily node, and I have created 3 nodes for different books on US presidents, right? Washington Alive, A Team of Rivals, The House of Kennedy. And in Tana, like in many other tools, you can tag things by typing a hashtag. So if I want to make Washington Alive a book, what I can do is just type the hashtag Octothorpe if you want to be super fancy, and type book. If a tag doesn't exist yet, you can create it in place. You can also have tags with spaces, so I could do book reference or whatever, but we're going to do book for now. And now Washington Alive is tagged with book. One thing I do want to recommend to you is that you treat tags in Tana as is a relationships, right? So Washington Alive is a book. A Team of Rivals is a book. That makes it conceptually very clear what should have a tag and what shouldn't. And we'll talk about other ways to record data and other relationships in just a moment. For now, Washington Alive is a book. This also gives us the chance to really explore the power of the command prompt again, because we can tag multiple things at once. So if I select both nodes and type Command K and type add tag, hit enter, now I can select any tag I want. I'm going to take book, type enter, and now A Team of Rivals and The House of Kennedy are also tagged as books. I can also tag nodes while I'm just linking to them. So let me show you how that works. Let's say I'm also reading at Truman. Truman is a biography about Harry Truman. And I'm creating the node for Truman in the library, right? So I do Command Enter. I have now linked to it. And if I now move my cursor so that I'm selecting this, so you see the little blue outline around it, and now I type Command K again, I can also add tag book, and Truman is now tagged as a book, right? So no matter where I am and how I'm seeing a node, I can tag it through the command prompt. Now, as I said, we might want to record more than just is a relationships, right? So a book has a or has an author, right? One or more. And so how do we do this? In Tana, that works through creating fields. So if I type enter and indent below, and I type the larger than sign, that creates now a field. And I can set this field, I can name this field author. And Washington Alive is written by Ron Chernow, who I can, for example, now tag as author, right? So I can create a tag author for Ron Chernow. Just in line, right? Everything is node, everything works together. Now, Washington Alive has an author, Ron Chernow, who is tagged as an author. What's really cool in Tana is that I can also reuse these fields, which becomes really important when we're using search in a later lesson. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the author field to the book A Team of Rivals as well, right? So here, add author. And as I'm typing author, you see fields from elsewhere, right? Where you have used that field before, you get an autocomplete search for all the fields you've used before. And you see here the field author has been used in Washington Alive before, right? So if I select this, I can now add that particular field to A Team of Rivals. Of course, I could also create a new one, but for fields that apply to the same tag, it becomes important that they are the same field later when we use search. So A Team of Rivals has an author, and in this case, that's Doris Kearns Goodwin, and we'll tag her as an author as well. Now, what's really cool is that these fields in Tana can be configured. So if I focus my cursor here and I type Command K and type conf or configure field, I select enter and I get this really nice panel here on the right where I can do a bunch of things, right? So I can add a description. So author, the person who wrote this, and you see here this is added as kind of the descriptive text to the field. By the way, you can add descriptions to any node by typing Control-I and then the book about the Kennedys, right? So in any node you can type Control-I, and that will let you add a description to that node. What you can also do here in the panel to configure the node is that you can determine the field type. So I can say, for example, that anything that's put into that field should be an instance of a tag, right? So I can create author. And now if I add this field to another book, you'll see what happens. So if I add this to the House of Kennedy, I type author and I get the autocomplete again, type enter, and I add James Patterson. Look what we have here. Tana auto suggests that you tag this new thing you've entered as an author, which is really cool. And you have here a drop-down menu that you can select, where you can select all people you have previously tagged as an author. So just really quickly, you get into these workflows where entering data about nodes becomes super fluid, right? So you have a book, you have a team of rivals, you have which has an author, which is Doris Kearns Goodwin, who is an author, and I can have here a drop down or search as well for everyone who could be the author. So let's, for example, here add David McCullough and tag him as an author. And now if I go to Truman and I add the field author to him, in the drop down, I can now select David McCullough, right? And as I collect books that have been written by the same author, I go to that author node and I see in the backlinks, in the references, appears as author in Truman, the book, right? So not only does Tana provide you with the backlinks, but they're actually typed backlinks. It tells you what sort of backlink it is. And in this case, we've defined the relationship as being author in a book called Truman, right? To me, when I saw this the first time, that was kind of mind-blowing, just how easy and powerful it was. So I'm really excited to show this to you. Now, let's bring this together and say that we want to create a reading list, right? Books to read. So let's go here to the root node, and I'm going to add here a new bullet point, books to read, under which I reference these books, right? So Washington, A Life, and I'm going to reference Truman, and I'm going to reference House of Kennedy, and we had a Team of Rivals, right? Now I have this list here of all these books. And what I can do now is, for example, show this as a table. View as table. And you see what I talked about in the last lesson. We have now the title of the book, and the author field has turned into a column where all the authors are listed. Now, one thing I like to record about books is their topic, what they deal with. So what's really cool about the table view is I can add a column and say, this is the topic of the book. And I can say, okay, this deals with George Washington. This one deals with Harry Truman. This one deals with John F. Kennedy. And this one with Abraham Lincoln, right? And now if I go back to today's node, and you see that the node now has a new field topic where what I entered in the table is now visible, right? That is really cool in my mind. And so one thing we can do now is we can select all these, type Command K for the command palette, and add the tag US President. This will create a new tag. I hit enter. They're all tagged as US President. And if I now go to the daily note page, you see Abraham Lincoln is tagged as US President. What I can also do is, of course, enter multiple things here into the topic column, right? So I could say US Presidents as a topic, and here now I'm going to reference US presidents, and here topic US presidents, and Abraham Lincoln, and Team of Rival also tackles US presidents. And to show you the backlinks again, if I now go to the node for US presidents, I focus into this, I see it has 4 references, and it appears, US presidents appears as the topic in these 4 books, right? Like that is really, really powerful for workflows, and we're going to go into much more detail in the next lessons. So to wrap up, we've looked at how to create is-a relationships, right? So Washington Alive is a book, and we've looked at how to create has-a relationships, where a book has a author or has a topic. Tana can create these fields in place, or you can add them through the columns in a table view. You can configure these fields to show, for example, in the author field, only instances of fields that have been tagged as author. You can then create lists that you show as table views. You can tag things while you're just linking to them. And when you go to a node, you see the field they appear in as a typed reference in their linked references. This is really cool in my opinion, because it makes creating relationships between the information you input into your tool very easy and powerful at the same time. And in the next lesson, we'll take this to another level. We're going to look at search that is powered by these relationships, these ways of entering data about a node. Is a relationships and has a relationships. So talk to you in the next video, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.